There's a common belief that hitting 100K is truly when your financial journey starts. But what if I told you it's a number way before that? $10,000 is truly the start. And from my experience, I remember $10,000 being one of the hardest things I've ever achieved of getting that money into the market. Now, it may not be the sexiest number, and let's be real, 100,000 is obviously worth a lot more than 10,000. But the reason why 10,000 is so important is because of how you get there. The psychological shift that a lot of people overlook. Let's take an example about the average salary in America, which is around $66,000. Now, if you get paid every 2 weeks, you're taking home around $2,293 per paycheck. Now, accounting for all your expenses, let's say you save 20% of that. That would come out to around $450. Now, if you really do the math, 1 year of savings is going to reach 10K if you're saving 20% of that salary, which is really hard. Now, if you have poor financial habits and you're in debt and not able to save any money, you're guaranteed to be stuck in the 4-figure range, and it's really hard to climb out. That's why 10,000 really turns the tide against it. And it shows that you've proven that you can put in the work, you have the discipline, and it's possible to move on to the next level. This is the whole idea of saving to 10K. It's the identity shift, the self-belief that you can save a lot more than just 10,000. Reason number 2, compound interest begins. Now, a famous scientist named Albert Einstein said the following: compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. What did this genius mean by this quote? And this is a concept that every investor needs to learn before they even start investing, so that they can understand that time in the market beats timing the market. All right, let's do a scenario. Let's say you have $1,000 and you get 7% every single year back. Now, to get to the first 10K, it would take you around 7.5 years. Now think about the next 20K. You might think it's going to be another 7.5 years, right? Wrong. It only takes 5 years. Obviously, this example isn't ideal because nobody wants to take 7.5 years to hit 10K, but it's just to give you an idea of what compound interest does in higher amounts. Apply this scenario to millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you'll understand why Albert Einstein said this about compound interest. But just understanding that compound interest is super important in even the higher amounts of money. More importantly, let's talk about Warren Buffett. He's worth $150 billion, and 98 to 99% of his net worth was accumulated over the age of 65. He's been investing for his whole life, but over the age of 65 is when he got 99% of his wealth. Compound interest is very good. Reason number 3, it builds your confidence around money. Starting off with the social media illusion, there's a huge misconception that, people online are making millions of dollars every single day while you're just making pennies. First of all, you need to understand that it is a very small amount of the population that does that. It's all you're ever going to see on social media because it's just what it is. That's the algorithm telling you what you want to see, but it's just not the reality of a lot of people. If we really want to get into some real reality stats, 59% of Americans can't even afford a $1,000 emergency expense, and half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So you really just can't base your illusion of money through social media lens because it's all just a facade. It's all just a lie. So you need to understand that the average person is also struggling. It's not like every single person online is actually rich as they say they are. Regardless, 10,000 gives you the confidence to make decisions with clarity and not in a state of survival. Reason number 4, this covers 99% of emergencies. If you really think about it, it's like having a safety net. This is an emergency fund, thinking that, you have insurance in case you need it. Hopefully you'll never need it, but if you do need it, it'll help you save for yourself from any financial ruin. 10K is a good number to have because it doubles as a safety net. And most surprise expenses will probably not ever exceed over 10K. Hopefully, but it's usually less, between like $2,000 and $3,000. It's rarely ever 5 figures, but it's always good to have that peace of mind knowing that you're ready for if that happens. But even for me, my largest expense honestly wasn't even more than $1,500, and that was just of a little car accident. But if I only had $3,000 in my bank account, that would have been half of my savings gone. But since I had more than 10K or even 10K, I felt a lot more safer paying that off, especially when it was an emergency. So back to what I just said earlier, 59% of Americans can't even cover an $1,000 emergency expense. So if you have 10,000, you are in a good financial position. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Reason number 5, you can start to be pickier about your opportunities. You know, before $10,000, you may feel obligated that you got to do certain things. It's because you're under a lot of financial pressure. But with 10,000, you have more freedom and a little more breathing room. Having a cushion means you can negotiate better, you can take more risk, and you can pursue opportunities that align with your goals instead of making decisions out of desperation. Let's say you're shopping at a mall and you have less than $10,000 and you need to pay some bills. Let's say you need to get some shoes and some clothes. You end up picking the cheapest pair of shoes and clothes that'll last you a couple months instead of a couple years. Maybe you have more than $10,000 and you see a better pair of shoes and clothes that are a little higher quality and a little more pricier but better value because it'll last you a couple years instead of a couple months. That's really the difference in what I'm saying. It's a basic example, but it sort of plays into the overall picture of what I'm trying to say of having that breathing room. Speaking of mindset, another huge reason is the mindset transformation from scarcity to abundance. This concept is single-handedly one of the most important concepts I've ever learned in my life. And I think that every human being should understand the concept of the abundance mindset. What it really does, it makes you believe that there's a future. There is more money out there, and all you have to do is just go out there and take it. You know, opportunities are unlimited, resources are unlimited, and it's like you can operate in a state of free flow instead of a state of scarcity, thinking that everything is limited and there's no options. Even financially, it's such a different concept because it allows you to see money indifferently and not be so attached to it. It builds your confidence and it helps you understand that you're investing your money for the fear of it going up and not the fear of it going down. And you're saving for long-term goals, which allow you to sacrifice the short-term gratification, which leads to compounding wealth later. Highly recommend understanding the concept of the abundance mindset. It is super important to build your confidence, you know, reinforce the belief in your potential, and it'll create a cycle for you where you have a really good feedback loop. So in conclusion, it's very important you hit that 10K as soon as you possibly can. I don't care how you do it. It's going to be a sucker, but make sure you get it done. Once you have it, you will see how life-changing it starts, and it's only the beginning. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.